And they lived on the earth working so they could keep their bodies in good health. And they continued until the 9 months of Hawwah's pregnancy were over and the time drew near when she would give birth. Then she said to Adam, "The tokens placed in this cave since we left the garden show it to be a pure place. We will be praying in it again in a while. Because of this, it is not appropriate that I should give birth in it. Let us instead go to the sheltering rock cave that was formed by the command of Elohim when Satan threw a big rock down on us in an attempt to kill us." Adam then took Hawwah to that cave. When the time came for her to give birth, she strained very much. Adam felt pity for her and he was very worried about her because she was close to death, and the words of Elohim to her were being fulfilled. "You shall bear a child in suffering, and in sorrow shall you bring forth a child." But when Adam saw the distress Hawwah was in, he got up and prayed to Elohim, and said, "O hwhy, look at me with the eye of your mercy, and deliver her out of her distress." And Elohim looked at his maidservant Hawwah, and delivered her, and she gave birth to her firstborn son, and with him a daughter. Then Adam rejoiced at Hawwah's deliverance, and also over the children she had given him. And Adam ministered to Hawwah in the cave until the end of 8 days, when they named the son Cain, and the daughter Luluah. The meaning of Cain is, hater, because he hated his sister in their mother's womb, before they were born. Because of this, Adam named him Cain. But Luluah means, beautiful, because she was more beautiful than her mother. Then Adam and Hawwah waited until Cain and his sister were 40 days old, when Adam said to Hawwah, "We will make an offering and offer it up in behalf of the children." 85. 1 Adam and Hawwah. And Hawwah said, "We will first make one offering for the firstborn son and then later we shall make one for the daughter." 75. Then Adam prepared an offering. He and Hawwah brought it to the altar they had built at first and offered it up for their children. And Adam offered up the offering, and asked Elohim to accept his offering. Then Elohim accepted Adam's offering, and sent a light from the Shamaim that shined down on the offering. Adam and his son drew near to the offering, but Hawwah and the daughter did not approach it. Adam and his son were joyful as they came down from the altar. Adam and Hawwah waited until the daughter was 80 days old, and then Adam prepared an offering and took it to Hawwah and to the children. They went to the altar where Adam offered it up, as he was accustomed, asking hwhy to accept his offering. And hwhy accepted the offering of Adam and Hawwah. Then Adam, Hawwah, and the children gathered together and came down from the mountain, rejoicing. But they did not return to the cave in which they were born. Instead they went to the cave of treasures, so that the children should live in it and be Baruch with the tokens brought from the garden. But after they had been Baruch with the tokens they went back to the cave in which they were born. But, before Hawwah had offered up the offering, Adam had taken her to the river of water in which they threw themselves at first. There they washed themselves. Adam washed his body and Hawwah washed hers clean also, after the suffering and distress that had come over them. But after washing themselves in the river of water, Adam and Hawwah returned every night to the cave of treasures, where they prayed and were Baruch, and then went back to their cave where their children were born. 86. Adam and Eve 1. Adam and Hawwah did this until the children had been weaned. After they were weaned, Adam made an offering for the souls of his children in addition to the 3 times every week he made an offering for them. When the children were weaned, Hawwah conceived again, and when her pregnancy came to term, she gave birth to another son and daughter. They named the son Hebel and the daughter Aklia. Then at the end of 40 days, Adam made an offering for the son, and at the end of 80 days he made another offering for the daughter, and treated them as he had previously treated Cain and his sister Luluah. He brought them to the cave of treasures, where they received a barakah and then returned to the cave where they were born. After these children were born, Hawwah stopped having children. 76. As the children began to grow stronger and taller, Cain grew hard-hearted, and he ruled over his younger brother. Often, when his father made an offering, Cain would remain behind and not go with them to make the offering. But Hebel had a meek heart, and was obedient to his father and mother. He frequently influenced them to make an offering because he loved it. He prayed and fasted much. Then this sign came to Hebel. As he was corning into the cave of treasures he saw the golden rods, the incense and the myrrh, and he asked his parents, Adam and Hawwah, to tell him about them. Hebel asked, "Where did you get these from?" Then Adam told him all that had befallen them. And Hebel felt deeply about what his father told him. Then his father, Adam, told him about the works of Elohim and of the garden. After hearing these things, Hebel remained behind after his father left and stayed the entire of that night in the cave of treasures. 87. 1 Adam and Hawwah. And that night, while he was praying, Satan appeared to him in the form of a man. And Satan said to him, "Often you have moved your father into making offerings, and to fast and pray." Adam and Hawwah. And that night, while he was praying, Satan appeared to him in the form of a man. And Satan said to him, "Often you have moved your father into making offerings, and to fast and pray. Because of this, I will kill you and make you perish from this world." But Hebel prayed to Elohim and drove away Satan, and he did not believe the words of the devil. Then when it was day, a messenger of Elohim appeared to him, who said to him, "Do not stop your fasting, prayer, or offering to your Elohim. For, look, hawwah has accepted your prayer. Be not afraid of the form which appeared to you in the night, and who cursed you to death." Then the messenger departed from him. Then Hebel came to Adam and Hawwah when it was day, and told them about the vision he had seen. When they heard it they worried about it very much, but said nothing to him about it. They only comforted him. But Satan came to the hard-hearted Cain by night and showed himself and said to him, "Since Adam and Hawwah love your brother Hebel so much more than they love you, they wish to join him in marriage to your beautiful sister because they love him. However, they wish to join you in marriage to his ugly sister, because they hate you. Now before they do that, I am telling you that you should kill your brother. That way your sister will be left for you and you can throw his sister away." And Satan departed from him. But the devil remained behind in Cain's heart, and frequently prompted his ambition to kill his brother. 77. But when Adam saw that the older brother hated the younger brother, he attempted to soften their hearts. He said to Cain, "My son, take some of the fruits of your sowing and make an offering to Elohim, so that he might forgive you for your wickedness and your sin." He said also to Hebel, "Take some of the fruit of your sowing and make an offering and bring it to 88. Adam and Eve 1. Elohim, so that he might forgive you for your wickedness and your sin. Then Hebel obeyed his father and took some of his sowing, and made a good offering, and said to his father, "Adam, come with me and show me how to offer it up." And they went, Adam and Hawwah with him, and they showed him how to offer up his gift on the altar. Then after that they stood up and prayed that Elohim would accept Hebel's offering. Then Elohim looked at Hebel and accepted his offering. And Elohim was more pleased with Hebel than he was with his offering, because of his good heart and pure body. There was no trace of guile in him. Then they came down from the altar and went to the cave in which they lived. But because of his joy felt at making his offering, Hebel repeated it 3 times a week, following the example of his father Adam. But Cain did not want to make an offering, but after his father became very angry, he offered up a gift once. He took the smallest of his sheep for an offering, and when he offered it up, his eyes were on the lamb. Because of this, Elohim did not accept his offering, because his heart was full of murderous thoughts. And they all lived together like this in the cave in which Hawwah had given birth, until Cain was 15 years old, and Hebel 12 years old. 78. Then Adam said to Hawwah, "The children have grown up. We must think of finding wives for them." Then Hawwah answered, "How can we do that?" Then Adam said to her, "We will join Hebel's sister in marriage to Cain, and Cain's sister to Hebel." Then Hawwah said to Adam, "I do not like Cain because he is hard-hearted. So, let them stay with us until we offer up to hawwah on their behalf." And Adam said no more. Meanwhile Satan came to Cain in the form of a man of the field, and said to him, "Look." Adam and 89. 1 Adam and Hawwah. Hawwah have discussed together about the marriage of you two, and they have agreed to marry Hebel's sister to you, and your sister to Hebel. But if it were not that I love you, I would not have told you this thing. So, if you will take my advice and obey me, I will bring beautiful robes, plenty of gold and silver, and my relations will attend you on your wedding day. Then Cain said with joy, "Where are your relations?" And Satan answered, "My relations are in a garden in the north, where I once meant to bring your father Adam, but he would not accept my offer. But if you will receive my words and if you will come to me after your wedding, you shall rest from the misery in which you are, and you shall rest and be better off than your father Adam." At these words, Satan got Cain's attention, and Cain inclined toward Satan to listen. After this, he did not remain in the field, but he went to Hawwah, his mother, and beat her and cursed her, and said to her, "Why are you planning to take my sister to marry her to my brother? Am I dead?" But his mother quieted him and sent him back to the field where he had been. Then when Adam came, she told him of what Cain had done. Adam was very worried, but held his peace, and did not say a word. Then, the next morning Adam said to Cain his son, "Take of your young and good sheep and offer them up to your Elohim, and I will speak to your brother and have him make an offering of corn to his Elohim." They both obeyed their father Adam, and they took their offerings, and offered them up on the mountain by the altar. But Cain behaved arrogantly toward his brother, and he shoved him from the altar, and would not let 90. Adam and Eve 1. Him offer up his gift on the altar, but he offered his own offering on it with a proud heart, full of guile and fraud. But Hebel set up stones that were near at hand, and on that, he offered up his gift with a heart humble and free from guile. Cain was then standing by the altar on which he had offered up his gift, and he cried to Elohim to accept his offering, but Elohim did not accept it from Cain, nor did a divine fire come down to consume his offering. But he remained standing over against the altar out of meanness, to make fun of his brother, and he glared at his brother Hebel to see if Elohim would accept his offering or not. And Hebel prayed to Elohim to accept his offering. Then a divine fire came down and consumed his offering. And Elohim smelled the sweet savor of his offering, because Hebel loved him and rejoiced in him. And because Elohim was well pleased with him, he sent him a messenger of light in the form of a man to partake of his offering, because he had smelled the sweet savor of his offering, and he comforted Hebel and strengthened his heart. But Cain was looking on all that took place at his brother's offering, and was angry because of it. Then he opened his mouth and blasphemed Elohim because he had not accepted his offering. But Elohim said to Cain, "Why do you look sad? Be in right standing with me so that I may accept your offering. You have not murmured against me, but against yourself." And Elohim said this to Cain in rebuke, and because he hated him and his offering. And Cain came down from the altar, and his color changed, and he had a sad face. And he came to his father and mother and told them all that had happened to him. And Adam grieved much because Elohim had not accepted Cain's offering. 91. 1 Adam and Hawwah. But Hebel came down rejoicing, and with a glad heart, and told his father and mother how Elohim had accepted his offering. And they rejoiced at it and kissed his face. And Hebel said to his father, "Because Cain shoved me from the altar, and would not allow me to offer my gift on it, I made an altar for myself and offered my gift on it." But when Adam heard this, he was very sorry, because it was the altar he had built at first, and on which he had offered his own gifts. Cain was so resentful and so angry that he went into the field. There, Satan came to him and said to him, "Your brother Hebel has taken refuge with your father Adam, because you shoved him from the altar. They have kissed his face, and they rejoice over him far more than over you." When Cain heard these words of Satan, he was filled with rage, but he let no one know. But he was lying in wait to kill his brother, until he brought him into the cave, and then said to him, "Brother, the country is so beautiful, and there are such beautiful and pleasurable trees in it, and charming to look at. But brother, you have never been one day in the field to take your pleasure in that place. Today, my brother, I wish very much that you would come into the field with me, to enjoy yourself and to barak our fields and our flocks, for you are righteous, and I love you much, O my brother. But you have alienated yourself from me." Then Hebel agreed to go with his brother Cain into the field. But before going out, Cain said to Hebel, "Wait for me, and I will fetch a staff because of wild beasts." Then Hebel stood innocently waiting. But Cain, the presumptuous, got a staff and went out. And Cain and his brother Hebel began to walk in the path. Cain was talking to him, and comforting him, to make him forget everything. 92. Adam and Eve 1. 79. And so they walked on until they came to a place they were alone, where there were no sheep. Then Hebel said to Cain, "Look, my brother, we are tired from walking. We see none of the trees, or fruits, or the growing green plants, or the sheep, or any of the things of which you told me. Where are those sheep of yours that you told me to Barak?" Then Cain said to him, "Come on, and you shall see many beautiful things very soon, but go before me until I catch up to you." Then Hebel went on, but Cain stayed behind him. And Hebel was innocently walking, without suspecting any craftiness, not thinking that his brother would kill him. Then Cain came up to him, comforted him with his words while walking a little behind him. Then he ran up to him and beat him with the staff, blow after blow, until he was dazed. But when Hebel fell down on the ground and saw that his brother meant to kill him, he said to Cain, "Oh, my brother, have pity on me. By the breasts we have sucked, do not hit me. By the womb that bore us and that brought us into the world, do not beat me to death with that staff. If you are set on killing me, take one of these large stones and kill me outright." Then Cain, the hard-hearted and cruel murderer, took a large stone, and beat his brother's head with it until his brains oozed out, and he wallowed in his blood before him. And Cain was not sorry for what he had done. But when the blood of righteous Hebel fell on the earth, it trembled as it drank his blood, and would have destroyed Cain because of it. And the blood of Hebel cried mysteriously to Elohim to avenge him of his murderer. Then Cain began to dig furiously at the ground to bury his brother, because he was shaking from fear that came over him when he saw the earth tremble because of him. 93. 1 Adam and Hawwah. He then threw his brother into the hole he made, and covered him with dust. But the ground would not receive him, and it threw him up at once. Again Cain dug the ground and covered his brother in it, but again the ground threw him up. 3 times the ground threw up the body of Hebel on itself. The muddy ground threw him up the first time because he was not the first creation. It threw him up the second time and would not receive him because he was righteous and good and was killed without a cause. The ground threw him up the third time and would not receive him so that there might remain before his brother a witness against him. And so the earth mocked Cain until the word of Elohim came to him concerning his brother. Then Elohim was angry and very much displeased at Hebel's death. And he thundered from the Shamaim, and lightning went out from him, and the word of hawwah Elohim came from the Shamaim to Cain, and said to him, "Where is Hebel, your brother?" Then Cain answered with a proud heart and a gruff voice, "How am I to know, O Elohim? Am I my brother's keeper?" Then Elohim said to Cain, "Cursed be the earth that has drunk the blood of Hebel, your brother. And as for you, you will always be trembling and shaking, and this will be a mark on you so that whoever finds you will kill you." But Cain cried because Elohim had said those words to him. And Cain said to him, "O Elohim, whosoever finds me shall kill me, and I shall be blotted out from the face of the earth." Then Elohim said to Cain, "Whoever finds you will not kill you," because before this, Elohim had been saying to Cain, "I shall put 7 punishments on anyone that kills Cain." For the word of Elohim to Cain was, "Where is your brother?" Elohim said it in mercy to him, to try and make him repent. 94. Adam and Eve 1. And if Cain had repented at that time, and had said, "O Elohim, forgive me my sin, and the murder of my brother," Elohim would then have forgiven him his sin. But Elohim said to Cain, "Cursed be the ground that has drunk the blood of your brother." That also was Elohim's mercy on Cain, because Elohim did not curse him, but he cursed the ground, although it was not the ground that had killed Hebel, and committed a wicked sin. But it was fitting that the curse should fall on the murderer, and yet, in mercy did Elohim manage his thoughts so that no one should know the extent of his anger, for he turned it away from Cain. And he said to him, "Where is your brother?" To which he answered and said, "I know not." Then the Creator said to him, "Be trembling and quaking." Then Cain trembled and became terrified, and through this sign Elohim made him an example before all the creation to show him as the murderer of his brother. Also Elohim brought trembling and terror over him so that he might see the peace he had before and also see the trembling and terror he endured at the end, so that he might humble himself before Elohim and repent of his sin, and seek the peace that he enjoyed at first. The word of Elohim said, "I will put 7 punishments on anyone who kills Cain." So, Elohim was not seeking to kill Cain with the sword, but he sought to make him die of fasting, and praying, and crying by his discipline, until the time that he was delivered from his sin. And the 7 punishments are the 7 generations during which Elohim awaited Cain for the murder of his brother. But, ever since he had killed his brother, Cain could find no rest in any place, so he went back to Adam and Hawwah, trembling, terrified, and defiled with blood. 95.